Incredible single dad asked to be her date at X's wedding. What he revealed changed everything. Jake stood in his small, trim kitchen, the light filtering through the window, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air. Just the day before, he had received the unexpected invitation to his ex-wife's wedding. The envelope lay on the countertop, untouched, even as the children's laughter echoed out from the backyard. His heart pounded, his mind racing. How was he supposed to feel happy for her when he felt so stuck, so lost? It seemed unfair she was moving on, and he was still drowning in the currents of his day-to-day life. Every afternoon after work, he wrestled with the ache of his past. He would be their rock no matter how much it hurt. The divorce had torn him apart, but he poured himself into his two kids, ensuring they never felt the void left behind. They were his priority, his lifeline. Yet, as he looked at the elegant invitation, the elaborate script taunted him, stirring up a storm of resentment and jealousy. "Dad, are you coming?" His daughter, Mia, bounded into the kitchen, her blue soccer practice jersey bright against the pale walls. She could sense his distraction. "Yeah, Munchkin, just thinking." He smiled, but it felt stretched. That's when he blurted it out. "Mia, I might need a date for the wedding." "Who?" She squealed, eyes wide. The thought of being his date generation spread infectious joy. He barely noticed his own heart flipping at the idea. Jake thought of Liz, the warm and understanding single mother he'd met at the community center. They'd connected over their kids playing soccer, sharing stories of struggle and recovery. Inviting her seemed like a good idea. Maybe this could spark a new beginning. Perhaps it would be easier to face his ex with someone by his side. But as the days crawled by, self-doubt crept in. Liz was different, a quiet strength and resilience radiating from her. She had faced her challenges, just like him. But would people accept her? Could he really stand side by side, his arms wrapped around her waist, while his ex-wife, the high school prom queen, flaunted her new life? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the wedding day loomed, Jake found himself in the community park, planning logistics with both families mingling as laughter bounced through the air like soccer balls flying across the field. Yet, an unease settled among them. His ex, noticing Liz, cast hesitant glances that felt like a knife twisting in his gut. The whispers of their neighbors wove a tapestry of judgment, each glance weighing down like an anchor. Finally, the wedding day arrived, a kaleidoscope of emotions crashing into him. Nostalgia gripped him as he watched his ex exchange vows in a glow of happiness that felt so foreign. As he rose to speak at the reception, the crowd hushed, holding their breath. He poured out his heart, his struggles, his dedication as a single dad. He advocated for the quiet strength behind a dedicated parent, recognition buried in the chaos of societal expectations. Just when he thought a sense of acceptance enveloped him, Liz's hidden struggles swirled through the tension of the night, threatening everything they had started to build. Jake gazed out at the room, a whirlwind of emotions bouncing inside him, as he pondered whether love and resilience could truly triumph over the shadows of their pasts. Jake sat in the back seat of his car, numb, gripping the steering wheel. The wedding was over, but the emotions clung to him like dew on a foggy morning. He had been brave, or at least he thought he was, as he stood up and addressed a room full of smiling strangers, all while his heart was screaming for peace. His speech had not been just about the love for his children. It had been about himself too, about moving forward rather than remaining tethered to the weight of his past. Mia's laughter from the back seat jolted him back to the present. She and her younger brother, Ethan, were jubilant, animatedly discussing the wedding cake and the dance moves they had seen. Their joy was infectious, but in sharp contrast to the heaviness that threatened to eclipse his own heart. He caught Mia's eye in the rearview mirror. Her bright face stirred something within him. Was he really that unhappy when they were so filled with life? "Did you see how much cake Grandma had?" Mia giggled. Jake chuckled, feeling warmth seep into his chest. Maybe she just wanted to save the best part for last. The kid's laughter blossomed again, a sweet melody that eased his tense thoughts. "Dad, can we have cake when we get home?" Ethan piped up, his wide eyes glimmering with possibilities. "Sure thing, buddy. Let us just not make a habit of it," Jake replied, his smile now genuine. He revved the engine and sank into the drive home as the city lights flashed by them. He felt a swell of uncertainty mixed with a flicker of excitement. Liz lingered in his mind, a comforting presence amidst the chaos of his life. They had shared laughter, mutual struggles, and a fleeting connection that tugged at his heartstrings. It was strange to think he was considering someone else, yet it felt like a breath of fresh air after being confined for too long. "Are you thinking about anything special, Dad?" Mia's voice pulled him out of his daydream. "Just life, I guess," he muttered, hesitating, unsure of how to explain this newfound hope that felt fragile, like a soap bubble ready to burst at any moment. When they arrived home, the kids darted inside to get the cake. Jake lingered in the driveway, looking up at the night sky. Stars peppered the darkness like little pinpricks of hope. Was it too soon to reach out to Liz? Would she even want to share that moment with him, the one where they could both face their past and weave a new future? The thought that had curled itself tightly around his heart began to unfurl. He pulled out his phone, hesitating as he thought of the text he wanted to send to her. "Hey, Liz. Crazy question, but how would you feel about grabbing coffee tomorrow?" As he pressed send, a rush of anxiety twisted inside him. He wished he could predict her reply, but that was the beauty of it. The uncertainty brought a pulse of exhilaration, a reminder of what it felt like to hope. Inside, the chatter continued, but Jake could feel a shift within himself. Perhaps this was the chapter he had been waiting for, one filled with not just reflection, but healing. Just as he started to feel serene, his phone buzzed with a notification. He opened it, breath catching in his throat. Liz's name flashed on the screen. "Coffee sounds great. Let us chat, there's something I've been wanting to tell you." Jake sat up straighter, pulse quickening. What could she want to share? Was it about her past? Or perhaps their future? The excitement threaded hope and anxiety together as he felt the tides of change beginning to swirl around him. And as the doorbell echoed through the silence, a sudden thought struck him. What if this encounter was destined to shake the very foundations of everything they had both held on to? The feeling in his gut told him that this was just the start of something monumental. As he turned to answer the door, Jake opened the door, heart racing. There she was, Liz, a sight for sore eyes, with her blonde hair falling softly over her shoulders and a nervous smile that made his stomach flip. "Hey, I hope I'm not too early," she began, her voice trailing off as she took in his flustered state. He shook his head, stepping aside to let her in. "No, not at all. I'm glad you're here." His words felt heavy with unspoken emotions as they filled the space between them. Liz surveyed the cozy living room, the scattered toys and mismatched couch cushions giving her a glimpse into his world. "It looks like you've got a full house." "Yeah, it's always an adventure here," Jake replied, chuckling lightly. "The kids are probably knee-deep in cake right now." "You really treated them, huh?" Her eyes sparkled as laughter danced in her features. Just then, Ethan came barreling through the living room, face smeared with frosting. "Look, Dad, I'm a cake monster." He posed dramatically, his joy infectious. Jake couldn't help but laugh, feeling Liz's eyes soften as she watched the scene unfold. "This is why we're not making cake a nightly thing," he joked, ruffling Ethan's hair. "Can I get cake for breakfast, then?" Ethan asked, looking as serious as a little boy could. "Just this once," Jake said, glancing at Liz, who was smiling at his son's antics. In that moment, he felt an ease with her that was refreshing. "Should we join them?" Liz suggested, her smile widening. "Cake can be a bonding moment, right?" They made their way into the kitchen, the scent of chocolate wafting in the air. Mia looked up from her slice, her eyes bright with excitement. "Liz, try some. It's the best cake ever." "Okay, but only if you promise to save me a slice for lunch tomorrow," Liz replied, leaning down to Mia's level. The connection formed between them felt natural, like they had known each other far longer than just a chance encounter. As everyone settled around the table, made sticky with icing and crumbs, laughter and chatter filled the air, wrapping them in a warm cocoon of shared moments. Jake found himself stealing glances at Liz, noticing the way her eyes lit up with every laugh. After the kids returned to their games, he caught Liz sipping her coffee, her expression shifting to something more serious. "Jake, About tomorrow I've been thinking, and it's not just about coffee. Her voice had dropped, making him lean closer, a mix of hope and anxiety rushing through him. What do you mean? I want to share something that's been weighing on me, Liz said, her fingers fidgeting with her mug. But it's complicated. Jake's heart pounded. Okay, I'm all ears. She took a deep breath, eyes locking onto his. It's about my past. The reason I came back to town this time. I didn't expect to connect with someone like you. And I need you to understand. The moment hung heavy, the weight of her words teetering on the edge of vulnerability. Jake felt his own past nudging at the door of his mind, urging him to confront it, to take a step toward whatever lay ahead. What are you saying, Liz? His voice was low, drawing her in. Her gaze dropped for a moment before seeking his again, filled with an intensity that made his pulse quicken. Maybe we can help each other heal, but you need to know what I've been hiding first. He swallowed hard, anxiety mixed with anticipation thrumming between them. Was this the chance to truly move forward, to break free from their past together? Or was it going to unravel everything they had just begun to stitch back together? Jake took a breath, ready for whatever was about to unfold. The room felt small, the air thick with the pregnant pause of unsaid words. He leaned in closer. Tell me. But just then, the sound of laughter broke the tension, and Mia came bounding in, her dress swirling, showing off her dance moves. Dad, come dance with me. Jake glanced at Liz, whose expression had shifted slightly, a look of concern mixed with a flicker of joy. In that instant, he realized that joy and fear could coexist. This moment felt monumental, and, deep down, he understood that no matter what Liz revealed, he was here to listen and support. Okay, he said, the warmth of determination flooding in. Let us go have a dance party. Jake reached out, offering his hand to Liz, hoping she would take it, feeling the pull of something deeper even as the children danced around them. As she placed her hand in his, he wondered if the real dance was only just beginning, one filled with truth and vulnerability that could lead to a new kind of love. But would they dance to the rhythm of their fears or the melody of hope? The music swelled, a cheerful pop song playing in the background as Ethan and Mia twirled around, the chaos of cake stains and sugar highs tangled in their laughter. Jake swung Liz into the joyous fray, his hand enveloping hers in a way that felt both thrilling and new. Come on, you can't resist the dance floor, he called out, his heart lightening with each beat. Liz laughed, a bright sound that filled him with warmth. It felt good to see her smile, to lose themselves in the moment. With hesitant steps, Liz joined in, her body moving awkwardly at first as she watched the kids bust out their best dance moves. But that hesitation quickly faded. Soon, she was swirling her arms, letting the music wrap around her like a favorite sweater. Each step was a small victory over the weight of the words she carried. Jake watched, entranced. Liz seemed lighter, shedding layers of worry with every twirl as she laughed at Ethan's ridiculous impressions of pop stars. He couldn't remember a time when he felt this free, this connected to someone else. The fear that had gripped his heart began to loosen. Okay, let us do a sync dance. Mia squealed, gathering the two of them in front of the kids. Follow my lead. Before he knew it, they were jumping and clapping, a cacophony of joy spilling over the kitchen, and for a moment, the world outside faded away. There was no past, no hidden troubles, just the four of them lost in laughter. As the song came to an end, breathless and smiling, Jake looked at Liz, who seemed like a different person entirely. The warmth in his chest deepened, but the reality of their earlier conversation loomed just behind them, lurking, waiting for its turn. Okay, break time, he announced, feigning an exaggerated pant, plopping down onto the couch. The kids darted off, eagerly searching for their next adventure. Jake turned to Liz, whose smile was slowly fading. Are you all right? He asked, keenly aware of the shift. Liz hesitated, the weight of her thoughts pulling her back to earth. She crossed her arms and looked at the floor. I really didn't expect to feel this way tonight with the kids, with you. It's just, I didn't think I'd connect so fast. It's both exciting and terrifying. His heart skipped. I get that, but it feels good, right? Yeah, it does. Her eyes met his, their depths filled with both light and shadows. But what happens when the music stops? You don't really know me, Jake. I want to. I want to know everything about you. I want to be here for you. The truth spilled out of him, honest and raw. Every moment without her would feel like a missed opportunity. The silence that followed was thick. Liz's lips trembled, and for a heartbeat, Jake was sure she might finally open up about the heavy burdens she had mentioned earlier. But the moment was interrupted as Ethan bounded back into the room. "Dad, can we do a pillow fight next?" he exclaimed, his excitement infectious. Liz's laugh returned, but it still held an edge of uncertainty. "I can help you both," she replied, a hint of relief evident in her voice. Masking what was still unsaid, the living room transformed into a pillow battlefield. Jake felt a mix of gratitude and apprehension. He had shared his heart, and the moment had felt monumental, but he was just scratching the surface. Later, as the clock ticked toward the kids' bedtime, Jake found himself brushing off the crumbs of cake that still lingered in the corners of the table. He noticed Liz standing by the window, gazing out at the stars now twinkling brightly above them. He approached her quietly. "Beautiful, right?" he ventured, leaning against the wall. "It is," she replied, her voice softer now, contemplative. "But sometimes, I wonder if beauty comes with too much baggage." "What do you mean?" he asked, hoping she would finally share what weighed on her heart. She turned to him, her eyes searching his, a hint of struggle on her face. "When I think of moving forward, will it be more pain or promise?" The question lingered in the air, a challenge and a plea. Jake felt the gravity of her words pressing against his own fears and desires. "Doesn't it have to be both?" he replied, voicing what they both knew. "But I don't want to let fear stop us. I want to take that step with you." As they stood together under the vastness of the night sky, the air crackled with possibility. Would Liz feel the same? Would she take that leap? And just as he was about to discover her answer, the doorbell rang, pushing them back into a world that wasn't ready for their truths yet. The doorbell echoed again, slicing through the fragile moment they had just shared. Jake's heart raced. He exchanged a look with Liz, both of them momentarily caught off guard. "I'll get it," he said, breaking their gaze, but the heaviness of the conversation still hung in the air. As he approached the door, he wondered if he should have urged Liz to stay if the truth could wait just a little longer. Swinging the door open, Jake was surprised to find Lisa standing there, a wide grin splitting her face. "Surprise," she exclaimed, holding up a bag filled with what looked like takeout. "I thought you might be hungry after the chaos." "Hey, you didn't have to," but the words fell flat as Jake noticed the look in her eyes. She was bright and vibrant, ready to take on the world, oblivious to the subtleties of the evening's emotional undercurrents. "Where are the kids?" she asked, stepping inside. Playing in the living room, he glanced back at Liz, who was still by the window, watching. Lisa followed his gaze, raising an eyebrow. "Oh, you've got company. Is this the famous Liz?" Jake's throat tightened as Liz turned around, feigning a smile that didn't quite meet her eyes. "Nice to meet you," she offered, stepping forward, extending her hand. The two women shook hands, and for a fleeting second, Jake felt the air shift, a tension simmering between them. "They've been having a blast," Lisa said, completely unaware, her chipper voice slicing through the moment like a lifeline. "I thought I'd bring dinner, and maybe we could watch a movie together. The kids love movie nights." "Sounds great," Liz chimed in, trying to mask her surprise, nudging past the emotions swirling inside her. Jake noticed how her resolve seemed to return, even if just a little. The three of them moved back into the living room. The kids came bursting in, eyes alight with excitement. "Pizza!" Ethan yelled, lunging for the bag Lisa had discarded on the table. Mia followed, her eyes wide. The mood shifted again, and the sound of children's laughter filled the space, a fresh distraction, a welcomed sanctuary from the heaviness of earlier. Jake helped pour drinks and set up the food, but his mind kept drifting back to Liz. He caught her watching the kids, a flicker of yearning crossing her face. As the movie began, Jake sat next to Liz, the couch now crowded with pillows and munching little ones. Their shoulders brushed, and he relished the warmth and connection, but guilt nagged at the corners of his mind. Could they weave a story together amidst this chaos? "Are you okay?" he whispered during a quiet moment, leaning in closer. She looked over, her expression softer. "Yeah, just processing," she murmured, her voice almost drowned out by the immediate roar of the animated characters on screen. "It's different now. I like it." Jake nodded, but also felt a pang of regret for losing that intimate moment with her. While laughter and shouts filled the space, Her earlier questions echoed pain or promise. As the credits rolled, the kids were a whirlwind of energy, talking over one another about the best parts. Lisa grabbed Jake's arm, a playful smile on her lips. What do you think about a family game night? We could do it every month. Before Jake could respond, Mia turned to him. Can we do a sleepover at Liz's house? Jake blinked. The room went silent in an instant, holding its breath for Liz's reaction. He held it too, his heart racing. It felt significant, this question, this moment, and he glanced at her. Liz seemed to be weighing her options, her eyes darting between the enthusiastic kids and Jake. Maybe that's a bit much for tonight, she replied carefully, giving a slight smile to soften her words. But the door to possibility was ajar. Even if just a cracked as laughter resumed, Jake felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this wouldn't just be a brief moment of joy painted over a tough past. Maybe, just maybe, they were weaving something richer together. But before he could ponder more, the doorbell rang again, the sound laced with a familiar urgency. This time, it felt different, a new chapter waiting to unfold. Who else was entering their world? The uncertainty cranked up the anticipation. Would this be the end of the night as they knew it, or the beginning of something they all hadn't imagined? Jake stood frozen for a moment at the door, half expecting to find more surprise guests. The laughter from the living room felt miles away, but the buzzing energy around him was palpable. He took a deep breath and opened the door, ready for anything except what he saw. There stood a tall figure in a tailored suit, a half-smile gracing his sharp features. It was Mark, Liz's ex. Hey, Jake, Mark said, sliding his hands into his pockets. Can we talk? The casual tone contrasted sharply with the tension weaving through the room, and Jake could feel his heart pounding. Now, here? He asked, scanning the hallway where their laughter could spill into the open. Yeah, just a minute, Mark urged, his eyes flickering past Jake. I didn't realize you had company. Feeling caught, Jake held the door wider, allowing Mark to step inside. He shot a glance back toward Liz, whose expression had shifted from curiosity to wariness. She stood up from the couch, her gaze locked on Mark. Jake and I were just enjoying our evening, Liz interjected, her voice steady but strained. What do you want, Mark? Standard co-parent stuff. I thought we could discuss the kid's schedule. He shrugged, as if to dismiss the tension. Can we step aside for a second? Jake's stomach twisted. This wasn't just a casual chat about pickups and drop-offs. Something in Mark's demeanor suggested urgency, an unsettling implication behind the polished smile. Actually, we can talk here, Jake replied, crossing his arms. The kids are right in the other room. Mark's smile faltered, but he pressed on. You know it doesn't really involve them, he said, raising his eyebrows. It's best if we handle this like adults. You're the one who showed up unannounced, Liz interjected, her voice raised enough to catch the kids' attention. Little heads turned their way, and Mia frowned while Ethan's eyes widened. Jake cast an anxious look, silently asking Liz to keep it together. Okay. Let us just keep it cool, Jake urged, lowering his voice. Mark, if this is about the kids, Mark sighed, glancing at the excited blur of children a few feet away. It's about a wedding. I thought it might be good for us all to be there together. You, Liz, the kids make it a family event. Family event? Jake repeated, incredulous. It felt like a landmine in their already complicated maze. Yeah, my brother is getting married this weekend. I think it would be nice if we all attend, Mark continued, his tone shifting to a more convincing pitch. For the kids. They'd love it. Sensing the unrest building, Liz stepped forward. You mean just the four of us? Together as a happy family? That's not how this works anymore, she said firmly, but there was an edge of uncertainty creeping into her voice. Maybe it could be, Mark countered, his eyes narrowing. We all could play nice for a day, right? A chance for you to see how great we could be together. Even if it's just for a day. The tension in the air thickened, and Jake felt the weight of Liz's gaze. She was torn, caught between past wounds and the present reality. Her eyes darted to Jake, searching for support, or perhaps validation. Liz, what do you think? Jake asked cautiously, not sure if he was stacking his chips on the right side of the table. Liz hesitated, a furrow of conflict crossing her brow. I don't know. For a moment, the room felt painfully still. The excitement of the kids faded, replaced by holding breaths and unspoken dilemmas. Think about it, okay? Mark said, his tone softer but carrying a hint of persistence. It might be good for everyone. Just one day. As Mark turned to leave, the moment hung heavy in the air. Would this wedding be a chance for reconciliation or another hurdle to leap over? Jake stole a glance at Liz. Her features were conflicted, a combination of hope, fear, and uncertainty. A question simmered between them: was this a moment of possibility or a potential pitfall? In the silence, the door creaked, revealing faded echoes of laughter in the living room. But in that moment, it felt like the laughter had dimmed, leaving only the shadows of what was yet to come. As Jake pondered the words that seemed to loom over them all, what would Liz decide? And how would those decisions shape their tangled paths ahead? Jake felt a weight settle into his chest. He watched as Mark slipped out the door, leaving a silence that felt thick with uncertainty. Liz stood still, her mind racing through the implications of Mark's request. Jake sensed her struggle. It was written all over her face. Did he really think we could just pretend? Liz muttered, frowning. Her hands clasped tightly together, betraying the widespread anxiety beneath her composed exterior. Jake placed a gentle hand on her shoulder, searching for the right words. Sometimes it's about the kids, right? Just one day, but it's your call. Liz turned to him, her big brown eyes shimmering with confusion. But what does that even mean? We've moved on, Jake. We both have. Or at least, I thought we had. Their kids giggled in the other room. Ethan was humming a cartoon theme, and Mia was chattering about games they played at school. The innocent sounds melted away the tension in the room, if only for a moment. Maybe this could be a chance for closure? Jake suggested, feeling timid as he spoke. For the kids. It doesn't have to mean anything more. Liz hesitated again, looking away. The flicker of hope mingled with apprehension in her expression. It just feels messy. That's life, Jake replied, trying to lighten the atmosphere. Messy is what makes us real. She chuckled softly but then sighed. It's just hard to wrap my head around seeing him again. We walked away for a reason. Their son, Ethan, suddenly burst into the living room with a wide grin, holding his toy sword high. Mom, Dad, can we play a game? Please? The light-hearted interruption jolted both Jake and Liz back to the present. They exchanged a glance that spoke volumes. Neither wanted to harm the fragile happiness their kids embodied. All right, buddy, Jake said, ruffling Ethan's hair. What's the plan? Mia bounded into the room, joining her brother with infectious enthusiasm. Let us play warriors. As the chaos of pretend battles erupted around them, Jake stole quick glances at Liz while engaging in the game. She was still lost in thought, her smile a bit strained. He worried again if Mark's request would lead to more than they both intended. Hours passed in laughter and playful antics. Eventually, the kids grew tired. Mia yawned widely, leaning against Jake. He wrapped an arm around her shoulder, letting her snuggle against him. Hey, Jake said quietly to Liz, his tone serious. Whatever you decide, I'll back you up. Liz looked at him, appreciation washing over her features. I know. You always have. Then, almost too casually, she spoke again. I think I need to talk to Mark, just to see what he's really thinking. The words hung in the air, a new path unfolding before them. Anticipation buzzed beneath the surface, threading through each moment. Are you sure? Jake questioned, his instincts wanting to protect her from any potential fallout. Not sure at all, she replied softly, but there was conviction in her voice. But I have to find out. For the kids. Jake nodded, respecting her decision, though dread pooled in his stomach. As Liz stood to call Mark, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that this was the beginning of yet another whirlwind, one that could either unite them or tear them apart all over again. What would happen when Liz confronted Mark? Would they find clarity, or would this decision open a door they both had thought was closed for good? Liz paced the living room, her fingers lightly brushing the wall as she thought about what to say. The phone felt heavy in her hand, as if it were bearing the weight of all her past decisions. She took a deep breath, glancing at Jake, who had resumed playing with Ethan and Mia, the joyous sounds of laughter filling the air once again. Their happiness reminded her of everything at stake. Okay, here goes nothing, she murmured to herself before dialing Mark's number. As the phone rang, a flutter of anxiety twisted in her stomach. She wanted to believe this could be casual, a simple chat about the kids, but doubt lingered like a shadow. Hey, Liz, Mark's voice crackled through the line. He sounded relaxed, a stark contrast to the turmoil she felt inside. "Hi, Mark. I got your message," she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "What did you want to discuss?" A brief silence followed, and Liz could picture him fidgeting, just like he always had in moments of uncertainty. "I just thought maybe we could talk about the kids and that upcoming weekend. It's important." "And wait," she interrupted, summoning courage. "I want to know why you want to see me, Mark. Is it purely about the kids?" Because it felt like there was more behind your message. "It's complicated," he admitted, a hint of tension threading through his words. "Yes, it's about them. But I'm hoping to find a way forward. You know how I've always what?" She cut him off again, frustration bubbling up. "You've always found a way to make things about you. You left, Mark. You walked away, and now you want to rewrite the script." His silence hung between them, thick and suffocating. "That is not fair, Liz. I made my choices, and I've regretted them every day," he finally said, urgency rising in his tone. "I want to do better. I can't change the past, but I want to be there for the kids. And maybe for you too?" Liz's heart raced at the unexpected admission. She hadn't been prepared for any sentiment that might lead to anything other than co-parenting discussions. "I don't know what to say to that. Just think about it," he replied. "I want to work together. For the kids. And if something else happens, maybe it's worth exploring." Without waiting for her answer, he hastily added, "Look, let us just meet up. I'll make it easy. You and me, coffee sometime. No pressure, I promise. Just let me be a part of their life and yours." As he hung up, a rush of emotions flooded through Liz. She blinked back tears, part of her feeling angry and the other part craving the connection that had once been there. She turned around, her heart still racing. Jake looked up, his concern evident. "How did it go?" "I don't know." Her voice trembled, and the weight of the moment hit her all over again. "He wants to meet. He says he regrets everything." "Wow," he said carefully, taking her hand in his. "What do you want?" "I need clarity, Jake. For me and the kids. I owe it to us to see what this could mean." Jake searched her face. "You know I'll always support you, but seeing him again, it's a big step." "I know." Liz took a deep breath, feeling the world closing in around her. I need to see if there's something worth salvaging or if letting go is the only way." Ethan bounded over, intrigued by the serious tone. "Are you okay, Mom?" With a bright smile plastered on her face that didn't quite reach her eyes, Liz ruffled Ethan's hair, masking the turmoil within her. "Yeah, buddy. I just need to think." As she watched her children, the desire for their happiness battled against the storm inside her. She wondered what tomorrow would bring. The next meeting with Mark, the talk that might change everything, loomed ahead. But would it lead her to a better future or back to the past, where old wounds could reopen? With her heart in turmoil, Liz stood at a crossroads, wondering which path would lead her family to safety and love, and whether she dared to take that first step into the unknown. The morning sun peeked through the curtains, casting soft rays across the living room. Liz sat on the edge of the couch, staring at the coffee table, her mind a chaotic whirlwind of thoughts. The weight of her decision hung heavily on her shoulders, every moment stretching into eternity as she replayed her conversation with Mark. Jake was already up, making pancakes, the comforting smell wafting through the air. It reminded her of simpler times when laughter filled their home without the heavy shadows of unresolved issues. She could hear a playful squeal from Ethan and Mia as they played in the nearby room, their innocence a steady reminder of what truly mattered. "Pancakes are ready," Jake called out, pulling her back to the present. She forced a smile, but inside she felt as if she was standing on a tightrope, one misstep potentially leading to a devastating fall. "I'll be right there," she replied, taking a deep breath. She knew she had to talk to Jake about the impending meeting with Mark, but the thought made her stomach churn. What was she supposed to say? That she was scared? Or that a part of her clung to the idea of a family, even one that had been fractured? Ethan burst into the living room, grinning from ear to ear. "Can I have extra syrup, Mom?" he asked, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "Of course, sweetie," Liz said, pouring a generous amount on his stack of pancakes. She felt a twinge of guilt, wishing for clarity not just for herself, but for her kids too. They deserved a peaceful life, uninfluenced by the complexities of adult relationships. After breakfast, she watched as Jake played catch with Mia and Ethan in the backyard. The way he engaged with them made her heart flutter. She had grown to admire him, respect him. This was a man who was there, through thick and thin. Every moment shared a testament to his unwavering commitment. Liz. Jake's voice broke through her thoughts. He jogged over, his brow slightly furrowed with concern. You want to talk about Mark? What's on your mind? Liz hesitated but then nodded, feeling a swell of warmth wash over her. I don't know how to approach this, Jake. Part of me just wants to forget him and move on. But I can't shake off that little flicker of hope. Maybe he has changed? But do you want to find out? Jake's eyes searched hers, a mixture of support and worry. I think I at least owe it to myself to see what he has to say, Liz admitted. But I worry about dragging the kids back into a situation that might hurt them. Jake stepped closer, gently placing a hand on her shoulder. Your heart is guiding you to make the right call. Just be cautious, okay? You deserve much more than what he has offered in the past. His faith in her decision steadied her pulse. She nodded, feeling the pressure lift slightly, as if he were helping to ground her in the midst of uncertainty. Later that evening, as dusk settled and shadows stretched across the room, Jake and Liz sat on the porch steps, the air filled with the scent of blooming flowers and the distant song of crickets. They watched the kids play, their laughter painting a picture of blissful ignorance to the chaos that threatened to invade their lives. I want to give you two a safe home, Jake said softly, breaking the stillness. But I can't pretend that Mark doesn't bring complications. How do you want to handle it when the time comes? Liz swallowed hard, feeling overwhelmed by the magnitude of their conversation. If I'm honest, Jake, I need to know where I stand. Am I still holding on to what once was, or do I move forward? But I can't lean on you forever. It wouldn't be fair. Hey, you can lean on me as long as you need, he reassured her, their eyes locking. Just know that whatever happens, you've got me. You and the kids are my world. A calmness began to envelop her heart, but with it came a deeper realization that the path ahead was fraught with emotional landmines. Just then, her phone pinged with a notification. Feeling a rush of anxiety, she glanced down. It was a message from Mark. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. This coffee could change everything. She felt a knot tighten in her stomach, the weight of his words crashing over her like a wave. What if he was right? What if this coffee did change everything? With a mix of fear and anticipation, Liz stared into the night, knowing tomorrow could redefine everything she had worked so hard to build. Would she embrace the unexpected, or would old fears pull her back? The following morning, Liz woke up to a soft buzz in her pocket, her reminder for the day. She stared at the ceiling, heart racing, mind clouded with questions. She had been so sure about everything until Mark's call threw her world into chaos. What did she hope to gain from seeing him? Closure or more hurt? Gathering herself, she headed to the kitchen where Jake was already bustling about, making breakfast. The smell of bacon sizzled, mingling with the heartfelt laughter of Mia and Ethan as they played a rough-and-tumble game on the floor. Their innocence reminded her of what mattered most. Morning, Jake greeted, offering her a warm smile. She wanted to pour her feelings out, but the weight of yesterday's call settled thick in her chest. Morning. Just thinking about today, she replied, forcing a smile as she poured herself a cup of coffee. Jake's eyes searched hers. About Mark? Yeah. She took a deep breath, bracing for the response. I don't want it to impact the kids. You know how fragile all this feels. I get it. He leaned against the counter, his presence solid and reassuring. Just remember you're their anchor. Whatever happens with you and Mark, you're handling things with the kids in mind. You're doing great. Liz appreciated his belief in her, but a crack of fear slipped through. What if he still wants to try again with us? What if he is just good at making promises? To be honest, we won't know unless you go, right? Just keep your guard up. Jake shifted closer, his concern palpable. But I'll be right here, whatever you decide to do afterward. You're not alone in this. Her heart surged with gratitude. While they finished breakfast, the kids continued their animated antics, joy bursting through the air. Liz focused on their laughter, letting it fuel her. As she drove to the cafe where they agreed to meet, her nerves mounted. She recalled the quiver of hope in Mark's voice. The gentle push of possibility rushed in alongside the weight of anxiety. Arriving early, she chose a spot on the patio, the sun warm on her skin. She watched other families enjoy the morning, the juxtaposition of their laughter against her tumultuous heart heavy. When Mark arrived, he looked almost charming, the smile on his face polished and confident. Hey, it's good to see you. A part of her felt hollow, almost false as he reached for a hug, but she obliged with a light squeeze. "You look great," he said, pulling back, his eyes scanning her face for a glimpse of warmth. "How are the kids?" "They're doing well," she replied, forcing her tone to remain even. "They love school and soccer." "Glad to hear that. If I had been around more." His voice trailed off, bringing a swell of guilt. "Mark, let us not rehash the past," she interrupted gently but firmly. "I'm here because you asked to discuss the kids, right?" "Of course. I just think we could find a way to co-parent better," he said, eagerness weaving through his words. "I want to be involved." "Why now?" she asked, feeling the need to claw deeper. "What changed?" "I've had a lot of time to think," he replied, his gaze earnest. "I realize I can't change everything, but I want to be part of their lives now." Her heart squeezed. "Do you really mean it? Or is this just the right thing to say?" Mark's expression faltered slightly, an expected flicker of discomfort. "I want to do what's best for them. For you. Can't we at least try?" The air thickened around them, and it felt like she was teetering on the edge of something profound, but fear gripped her tight. Still, a small spark of the past flickered to life. "Okay," she said at last, her voice steady but soft. "I'll give you a chance to prove it. For the kids' sake." Relief washed over his features. "Thank you, Liz. You won't regret this. I promise." Yet as they sat together, continuing their tentative conversation, Liz felt a passage of time unravel before her. The emotional armor she'd built began to contract as possibilities unfurled like the petals of a blooming flower, a new step into uncertainty. But Jake was right. Whatever this interaction meant, she had someone solid behind her. Perhaps healing was possible without losing all hope for the future. Later, when she returned home and Jake greeted her with anticipation, she felt lighter. "How did it go?" he asked, noticing her energy shift. "A lot to unpack, but we talked, and I'm willing to give him a chance. Not for us, but for the kids." Jake nodded in understanding, the warmth of his gaze cutting through any lingering doubt. "You did great," he complimented, wrapping an arm around her shoulder. From that moment forward, a new chapter unfurled amid a medley of chaos, one where hope and uncertainty danced together, and both Liz and her children would begin to find their place in a world that felt just a little less heavy. This story was far from over, but for Liz, at that moment, moving forward meant embracing the fear and promise that life consistently presented. And with Jake by her side, the journey felt infinitely more manageable. As laughter and love filled their home, she finally began to believe in a future where they could all heal together, building a family that braved the unknown hand in hand. Now, seize the moment. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss our next inspiring stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let us know you care. Comment your reactions to this transformation. How did you feel about Liz's decision? And for the sake of hope, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this journey of healing and love. Don't wait not even one more second to show your support.